In 2019, I lived in Georgia. I was visiting Laguna Beach for some speaking events. And I had 2 weeks. And remember, I love adventure. And I also love a beach and love ocean. And I was staying right up here on PCH. And I walked outside my very first morning. It was a 2-week trip. I walked outside and I look across the ocean. And it was like time stood still. Like everything had froze. And I'm looking across the ocean, and it is sapphire blue. It's like the sun is just dancing like fairies on the water, and the sea breeze hits my face, and then this, like a lightning bolt hit my body. It was a level of resonance that I had never felt before. Something bigger was guiding the resonance. And I knew by this time in my career, in my life, when you feel that frequency, you trust it, you move no matter what. And I heard you're supposed to live here. And I was for 1 second like, that's crazy. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. This is a little F-U-N. It's another intention we'll bring into the space right now, F-U-N. It was my theme for 2025, and I had a lot of it because of it. I'm going to bring more of it into 2026 because we're not meant to stop having fun, and we forget that. And I will say, when I followed that resonance, and I ended up, if you've read Quantum Vibes, then you know the whole story. I won't tell it all today, but it took me a couple of months for my mind to catch up with my heart. Because the heart was like, you're supposed to do this thing. The mind said, are you freaking crazy? You have a beautiful home in Atlanta that's renovated. You have a community that you've been building in Atlanta. Your family's there. It's all you know. Like, who do you think you are? And my heart and my spirit said, girl, this is what we came here for. Let's go. I was following a resonance, following an energy. So that was in February. In June is when I made the choice, like, okay, I'm going to do this. That was traveling that summer. I don't know where I was speaking. I was traveling somewhere in June. July, I was back from Mind Valley speaking a second time in Europe. And I was traveling so much, the first time I got a chance to actually get everything organized was August. So I made the decision in June. I was like, I'm going to rent my house out. I'm going to move to Laguna Beach. ... I had no idea where I was going. I didn't know where I was going to live. I did not know one person here. But I knew I had never felt more alive and lit up than the thought of doing that. So I packed a one-way ticket. I packed 3 suitcases. I got my house ready to rent. And I had rented a place here it was either 2 weeks or a month. And I didn't know where I wanted to live. But what I did know was I wanted a peekaboo view of the ocean. Like I was there, I had seen some like on Zillow, and I had been looking, and you could like look, the little peekaboo. I knew I wanted to walk to the beach. But the thing is that day, when I had that quantum moment, when I had that level of resonance, my soul did not say to me, pack up everything that you've known and go try to live in the one of the most beautiful places you've ever seen. You need to have all of this criteria. It wasn't that. It was just, you're supposed to be here. So the control in me could have said, but where am I going to live? How is this going to go? I don't know anybody. But what I said was, I can always come back. There's always a way to go back if I wanted to. But I knew I probably wouldn't. So as I got here, as I'm looking for places to live, I just felt like a new level of aliveness. It felt F-U-N to be here. Like, I love the beach, the ocean so much. I had spent all of these years traveling, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, I just have to walk out the door and there's the ocean. People were so nice. They talk about Southern hospitality. Everybody was like, oh, you're moving to California? And I was like, well, Orange County. Orange County, everyone is so nice. And it was true. Like, everybody, even when I meet people here, they'd be like, ooh, how was it coming from Georgia? I'm like, have you seen this place? And I'm like, and everyone's so nice. So then I'm looking for where I'm going to live, and I call this real estate agent. She had a name on a sign for a rental, and she's like, That one's full, but what are you looking for? And I said, well, I'd like a peekaboo of the ocean. I'd like to be in walking distance. I wanted 2 bedrooms, and I don't know. And she goes, I've got just the place for you. Can you meet me here tomorrow at this time? And I'm like, sure. And it wasn't really something I could look at. Like, I didn't look the place up for whatever reason. So the next day, I'm driving, and I drive up, and I get to the parking spot, and I walk out, and there's these bougainvillea flowers. And I'm walking down the bougainvillea flowers, and I feel the ocean on my cheek. And I'm walking down the path, and I walk down some stairs, and I see some doors, and I see palm tree, ocean, and I keep walking down, and I'm steps from the beach, literally like 16 steps from the beach. And I turn, and I see the door, and I walk in the door, and I'm standing there, and there's floor to ceiling ocean. And I literally tripped myself out because I was like, I'm standing in the middle of my vision board. And my heart is racing, and I'm like, I don't want to know how much this thing costs. Like, I had no idea, but I'm sitting there, and my mind is like, get out now, get out. Like, this isn't it. Go, bye. And my heart's like, there's resonance here. There's resonance. I can feel it. It's here. And I'm looking, and I'm like, I'm tingling in my body. I'm like, how do I not do this? And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking, and I'm breathing. And I ask her how much it was, and she answers, and it's 3 times what my mortgage was in Georgia. And I'm like, this is what you freaking move across the country for. This. So in my mind, I said 1 year. I'm going to do it for 1 year. I'm going to live here, and I'm going to enjoy every second. And I woke up every day that year, and I had so much gratitude overflowing my heart. The sun was there, the waves. Now, I lived in a fishbowl, and everybody knew what I was doing. So there was that. But I didn't care. It was so incredible. If I was cooking, which I don't cook that much, but when I'm in the kitchen, I could, see the ocean and go paddleboarding right out the door. 4 years later, 4 years later, I got the hit. It might be time to go somewhere else. This was a different level of resonance. It was a different level of resonance because things were shifting, and my soul needed to be in that space. But the thing is, my personality, my mind, this part of me, the logical part of me, would have never dreamed that big. Like I was just saying, when I had the first moment, it wasn't like, okay, now you're going to go rent a beachfront condo that's 3 times what your mortgage in Atlanta is. I would have been like, done, mission not accepted. But I could be like, mission accepted. I am of the belief that when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. I am of the belief that when we heal and inspire ourselves, we heal and inspire others. We have a frequency. Living in that place for 4 years did something for me that words can't even begin to explain. I healed. Thank you. I healed. I found joy. It was like I was living in a dream. And when it came time to switch, the reason it was because sometimes the intuition comes through people. And a friend of mine called me, and she goes, we got to buy a house. She was renting something at a similar price point. She's like, what are we doing? We need to buy a house, separately, not together. She goes, it's time for you to buy a house, and it's time for me to buy a house, and I've got a real estate agent here. And I was like, I'm not really looking to move. She's like, just go learn the market, Suzanne. It's going to take a second. So I was like, all right. So I start looking, and it was depressing to say the least. Literally looking, and I'm looking in Laguna Beach, and it's like I had a pretty good budget, but I was like, I'm happy here. I don't need to go anywhere. I'm good here. But then something began to shift with energy, and a new level of resonance came. So to make a long story short, with the second piece of this is the real estate agent was very persistent. She kept calling me and saying, let me go show you around. And she was never annoying at all. There's a fine line between persistent and annoying. Do y'all know that line? And it was interesting because literally, she takes me around, and I'm just like, Emily, this isn't for me. And I'm sitting in meditation, and all of a sudden, I get this visual of a mountain. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. And I said to Emily, I said, can we just look in surrounding areas and let me just see? And she goes, absolutely. 5 hours later, she sent me an email, and she said, this just opened up as a pocket listing, which means it's not actually a listing yet. And she said, can you see it on Tuesday? I said, yep. So I drive up, and as I'm leaving my house, I'm like, well, this is stupid. I'm not leaving Laguna Beach. It was 8 miles from where I was, 7 miles from where I was, but I was like, I'm not leaving. I go up, I turn around the corner, I go over the hill, there's palm trees, and I see this big mountain, and my heart just drops. I pull up to the grass, and I was like, oh my God, there's grass, and there's a tree, because a lot of the places that I was looking didn't have that. And in Atlanta, I had a whole acre of land. And so what began to happen was resonance brought me to my dream house. I walked into the backyard. There was a pool, a mountain. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. And there was a level of resonance. Resonance. And to be honest, there was so much that didn't make sense. I decided with resonance, with arrows up alignment. And so that same house, there ended up being 7 other offers, and I only had a little bit of negotiation room. A week later, I got a phone call. You got the house. It's yours. And so the reason that I'm telling you this is things are meant for you. There's things that are meant for you. For those of you that want to give a TED Talk, the TED Talk is meant for you. You wouldn't have the desire. There's levels of resonance. And there's energy where you can shift things and change things, but you've got to be able to dance in the reality that you live in. Because if you can't dance right here, you cannot bring all of these together to really point your alignment arrows up. So if you're feeling bad about where you've been, if you're in some sort of escapism mode, if you're thinking, that's not for me, I'll never get there, you're not going to. But if you can say, all of this happened because I'm supposed to experience something different. And I'm living this reality because my baseline frequency, which is the reality that I'm experiencing now, has to do with all of the decisions, all of the energy that I've made up until this point, me, not no one else. It's no one else's fault. It's me, the ownership. Ownership points your alignment arrows up. When you're blaming, when you think you're forgotten, when you feel like everybody else gets it but you, your arrows are all here. When you can say, me, I have the power, I have the keys, I am the missing piece. You hold that frequency no matter what. Are you seeing it somewhere in your own lives where you may have done this one way or the other? To either create success with arrows up or to point your alignment arrows out? And so when you walk with that level of certainty, here's the certainty piece. There's divine certainty, which is, I know that I'm capable. I know that this will work out for me. I know that I'm meant to create extraordinary things. I know that my story will heal. I know that I'm meant to shift paradigms on this planet. I know that I can serve people with my unique gifts. And you hold that frequency and you hold that frequency and you build muscle memory. And when it doesn't look like it's not working, you don't go backward and circle down. You come back and you recalibrate. And when you do that, you're going to be able to create anything you can ever imagine when you can hold it that long.